What's up, guys? How are you all doing? Hey, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be checking out a home irrigation system that's completely comprised of Home Assistant, and that way you can control all your sprinkler systems, all your zones and everything from your phone. So if that's, I don't know why I'm doing this. Why am I doing this? I don't know. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, stay tuned because it's coming up right here, right now on misperry. Okay, guys, let's get going. It's good to be back in the saddle. I got the 3D printer behind me printing. I don't know if you can hear it, but I'm making some other stuff for some more videos. I got a lot of different ideas lined up, so make sure real quick, I'm going to put the whole thing up front here. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, get down there and press that subscribe button. Make sure you ring the bell and set your all notifications, because that way you get reminded when I produce more videos. And I got quite a few coming. I got tons of ideas, all kinds of cool stuff that's going to be coming your way. What we're going to be looking at today is, like I intro said, I'm going to be looking at building a sprinkler system that you can use on your phone and in Home Assistant. So what we've got here is I've separated out, I've got a well pump, I've got all my different zones. Mine is a 7-zone system, and I've also got some run modes and whatnot set up, as well as some weather pulling from Open Weather Map, and that way it won't rain when, or it won't rain. That'd be nice if you could control the rain. It won't set the sprinkler system going if it's raining. So I'm going to show you how to configure all of that. But first, let's go check out how I wired up the hardware device that actually is going to connect to your sprinkler system. All right, so guys, this is how this thing is going to be hooked up. What we're going to be using is a Wemos D1, which is just an ESP8266. And you'll see why I chose the ESP, because we're going to be checking out the ESP Home add-on platform for Home Assistant. So what we have here is, since mine is a 7-zone system with the pump as basically kind of like the 8th zone, I guess you'd call it, but basically I'm going to use a relay to turn the well pump on and off. So that's in here too. So here is our wiring diagram. I put in here, this is a high link because I couldn't really find a good drawing of the one that I use. The one that I use, which links, by the way, all will be down in the description for all the different components and pieces that I used. But the thing that I used was this. It was this AC/DC converter. This thing is great. It just is a potted little converter. It takes in anywhere from 7 to 35 volts AC. It also converts that then to 3 amps worth of 5 volt DC, which is just fantastic. It's perfect for what we need. So that's what I chose to do. And it just has wires coming out of it where you can just strip them out and put them in a terminal block, which there'll be some terminal blocks that you can order that are down in the description as well. But that's what these represent. These green pieces, these are the terminal blocks that I use to hook this up. So basically what happens is you bring in the AC from your, let's say if you had a Rainbird or something like that, usually they have a little 30 volt wall wart that plugs in, gives you 30 volts AC, something like that. So that comes in here. We're going to break that off and put that into our converter. It's going to convert our 5 volts that we're then going to use to power the Wemos D1. All right. So then what we're going to do, and I'll have this drawing available, will be in the GitHub link that's down below. So all the code and the drawings and stuff will be in the GitHub link down below as well. So that way you can, trace out these wires and you don't have to pause the screen. So this comes into here, and basically what we got going on is you've got your common, which that's just one side of the AC power coming in here. So your AC is coming here, and they call this the common. Okay. So that comes in, and it's going to be common to every single one of these relays. So it's going to be in the center position. So as you can see it's going in to the common of the relay. Okay. And then we're just meandering that through here to where every relay gets that common. Okay. Then what we have is I chose basically relay 8 as my well pump relay. So the well pump is here. So basically what we're doing is the other side of the well pump that you have will come up here and connect in here. I probably should have drawn a wire. In fact, we can just do that right now. I can take a wire like this and say this is going to be the well pump. So that's your well. So the 2 wires that go out to your well controller, the one will be here, and then the other one will be connected to this, because this is just going to switch that common line. So that's basically both sides of that. Okay, so then that goes to your well. Then you've got your zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4, zone 5, zone 6, and zone 7. That's in that big cable that goes out to your sprinkler valves, right? So that's basically it. So the Wemos D1 controls this relay block is basically all it does. And then just the appropriate wiring to get power to everywhere it's going to go, and then your zones. That's pretty much it for the hardware. So now onward to the software. Okay guys, so now on to basically the software side of it. So what you're going to need is you're going to need an add-on called ESP Home. Now I have it. If you don't have it, you just go to the add-on store. Pretty easy. Now I'm running Haas.io or Home Assistant IO, which is the like Docker version of it. You can always download these add-ons, you know, and add it to the way that you want to use it if you're using just the full-blown install with Raspbian or something like that, or on Windows or whatever. But I like Haas.io because it's very simplistic and very intuitive. There's some tricky stuff because since it's running in a container to make it work, but all in all, I've been very, very pleased with it, very happy with it. It works great. So just come in here and search for ESP Home, and there's the add-on. Go ahead and click on it, install it, and then you'll have this add-on here. And then you'll be able to use ESP Home. Now, those of you who don't know what ESP Home is, ESP Home is a very awesome platform. It allows you to code all kinds of fantastic devices and things for like Wemos D1s or Node MCUs, or just anything that's an ESP device, ESP8266, the ESP32, all those different devices, just like it says right here. And it allows you to code them. If you don't know how to code, if you don't know how to write C code, you're in luck. It's all done in a JSON format. So as long as you just stick to that format, it's more like configuring instead of actual programming. So it's really great. Once you get it installed, you make sure and turn it on. It'll be stopped when you install it. So make sure you start it. And then I like showing it in the sidebar. So if you click that, it'll show up here in your sidebar. Once you come in, now I've got a few things going here, but once you come in, you'll click the plus sign, or it'll ask you if you want to create your node. So you'll type in the name of your node, my node, and then you'll type in your Wi-Fi SSID and the password. Okay, so that's what we're going to do now, is we're going to now look at the coding behind the irrigation. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see this. Hopefully it's not too small. But basically what we're going to do is it will create kind of a basic layout in here for you. It'll have, it won't have this on boot, but it'll have this ESP Home. Oops. It'll have the ESP Home. It'll have that you chose a D1 Mini, and that's another thing that you can do. You can choose what type of device that you have. In fact, let's just go through it here. Let's just go through it. So I'm going to hit go. We're going to say my new device. I'm going to say ASDF, and it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to say next. And then it says installation. Do you want it to install? And go ahead and update the board with just basic information so you can connect to it. I'm going to skip it for now. Now you can say what the device is. It's not limited to just the devices it knows about. You can pick any ESP32, any ASP8266, whatever it may be. Now, since we're using a Wemos D1, we'll say pick the board, and then we'll say Wemos D1. And the one that I have is just a regular, I think I have the Pro is what I have. Yeah, that's what I have. So we'll just choose that, hit next. And then it says, congratulations, you've created it. Here's my new device. When you hit edit, it's going to have all your information in here. All right. So now I'll go ahead and just put into here, just so for our example, we'll just keep going. I'm going to cut and paste in the actual coding that we're going to be using. Okay, so here we are with the coding basically pasted in. Now, one thing that you want to make sure of is you want to make sure, obviously, with one of these is if you ever have to reboot the device, you do not want all of the relays to turn on, right, and to just run every single zone and run everything all at once. So we're going to set something for on boot. So we're going to put it up here right underneath where it declares that it's ESP Home. We're going to stick in on boot under the ESP Home heading. We want to turn off all the relays, so 1 through 8. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do switch.turnoff. Now, the reason I saved this and I didn't have this pasted in is because if you're first doing all this, you have to define the switches first. Otherwise, it's not going to know what you're talking about, right? So let's get on to that. So come on down here after this captive portal. We're going to create our switches. Okay, so first we need to define what they are. So we're going to use our platform GPIO, which is a general purpose input output. Then you can always look up different pinouts and things like that for the type of device that you have. So make sure that you look it up and make sure the GPIO port is labeled the correct one. On mine, it's just pin 5 is going to be our relay 1. Pin 4 is relay 2, and you just name it, and like these will be the names that show up in Home Assistant. So I just named it zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4. Now on this one, the way that the relay block that's listed down below, it's an active low. It's what it is. So if you send it a 0, it turns the relay on. If you send it a 1, it turns the relay off. So I turn the inverted to true. So that way it inverts that setting, right? So once you get all the switches created, there's my wife. So once you get all the switches created, then what I like to do is I like to put in a safety feature, because obviously if this has an issue and it gets disconnected from Wi-Fi or whatever, you want it to basically go to safe. You want it to turn off all the relays, because you don't want there to be a problem where you run your pump without turning any of your zones on, because it will literally burn out your pump. So you don't want that to happen. So this is kind of the safety feature upon losing connection. We have an interval. So every 15 seconds, what's going to happen is it's going to check the condition of Wi-Fi .connected. If it's true, then just nothing's going to happen. The then part of this is blank. So then nothing happens. It just moves on. Otherwise, if it's not connected, if it basically becomes disconnected, then it's going to turn off all the relays. Okay, so it's going to do a switch dot turn off all the relays. So that way, if it ever loses its connection, it's just going to turn off, because it basically, we're going to set up how it controls it, as far as like if you set up your zone cycles and how many zones cycle by how much time, that's all going to be set up in Home Assistant. So if it loses its connection in Home Assistant, it may not be able to be turned back off. You know, it won't receive the off signal from Home Assistant. So we want to do that. Once you get that done, the easiest way to do this is you plug your Wemos D1 into the USB of the server that you're on. Now mine, I'm hosting it on a Raspberry Pi, so I plug it into the USB port that's on the Raspberry Pi. So you can do that. There's other ways of doing it. Once you do that, you're going to hit install. It's going to ask you how it's connected. Now, if it's the first time you've ever programmed it, you won't be able to do it wirelessly. So usually, I've tried using this plug it into this computer, like the computer that you're working on, which may not be the actual server. I've tried doing that. Doesn't really work. It's best to plug it in and do this one. Plug it into the server that you're actually connected to, and then press this button and it will actually put it in. Now, there's another way where you can install it using a flasher of some sort, like maybe it'll download it, the firmware, and you can use maybe Arduino IDE to flash it onto it. So it gives you some options. I've had success with just plugging it straight into the server that I have, which is Raspberry Pi, and then just running this, and it installs it, and you'll actually see a log of it coming up and actually requesting and getting connected up to the Wi-Fi that you suggested for it. So once that gets connected, now we have to, you'll see that like right now it shows offline. It'll become white like this and become online. Once it becomes online and is talking, then you can now control it with Home Assistant. And how we do that is we're going to come over here to configuration, going to go into integrations, and then over here you see mine's already here. But what you do is you're going to come down here, you're going to choose add integrations in the bottom right here. When it pops up, you're going to say ESP Home. Choose ESP Home, and then all you got to do is type in the IP address that the connection gives you. When you connect your device, when you press install and it installs it, it'll tell you what IP address your router has given that device. So you're going to type that in here, and the minute you type it in, as long as that device is online, you should see it pop up here like my irrigation node is right here. And then you should see all 8 entities. So basically you've got your well pump, your zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4, all of those different pieces. Now, if you want to know how I got these cool icons, I chose this MIDI water pump, MIDI : water pump. That's how I got the water pump icon. And then for the well pump, I'll show you that too. It's just called pump. So MDI : pump. And then that'll give you that cool little icon. So that's how I did that. I assigned those as they were in Home Assistant. Okay. So now what we're going to need to do is set up some scripting so that way we can tell it when to water, when not to water. So to do that, we're going to come back to our configuration, go to scripts, and in here I've got some different scripts, but the main one is like normal irrigation. So if I open that up and look at it, what we did was we created a sequence here. I created a call to the service, switch.turnoff, and turn off the different switches. And I said, all right, we're going to turn off sprinklers. I did it by area. Okay. And so how I do this, how you do an area is when you have your entities, let me go back. When you get your entities, you can select what area they're a part of. So down here in advanced settings, you can create an area, and I created an area called sprinklers. Okay. And so I assigned each and every one of these entities to the sprinklers area, as you can see here. Then in the scripting, when we go back to scripts here from configuration, we go to my normal irrigation, I can call that script, say call service, say switch off, and then my target is that area. So you can say pick area, and then you can choose what area you want to pick. And I chose sprinklers. Okay, so that's my target area. And so it turns off all of those entities. So when I first start the script, I make sure everything is turned off. Then we're going to move on down and I'm going to say device irrigation node. Okay, turn on well pump. Okay, so that's the first thing we want to do is turn on the well. Okay, then the next one, we're going to turn zone 1 on, and then we're going to give it a delay. And so how I'm adding this is way down at the bottom. There's this add action. When you click add action, it'll give you a blank action and you can choose what action type you want. Now I'm going to delete this one, delete. So what I've done was created an action for turning on zone 1. So it turns on zone 1, so that kicks on the relay. Then I'm going to set a delay action for 20 minutes. I like to run my zones for 20 minutes at a shot. You can always come in here and adjust it, but 20 minutes. Then what it does is it's going to turn that zone off. It's going to turn zone 1 on here, waits 20 minutes, and then turns it off. Then we turn on zone 2 right after that, and then wait another 20 minutes. And then zone 2 off, zone 3 on, 20 minutes, and so on and so forth until we get all the way down to zone 7. And then we will wait 20 minutes. Then we'll turn zone 7 off, but then we got to turn off the well pump too. So we turn the well pump off at the end. That's it. You hit save script. Script is done. Now we got to move on to an automation because we want to kick this off right at a certain time of day. So now we're going to go back to our configuration. We're going to choose automations. I know this is a lot. And in the automations, we're going to use like irrigation start, basically create an automation. You hit add automation, right? And I just chose, just start with an empty automation was what I started with. And when you start with an empty automation, you'll add your triggers. So the first thing you do is, fill out the description, name, whatever. But I say add a trigger, and I want to trigger this, and I want my time to be 5:30 p.m. So that's when I want it to turn on, is at 5:30 p.m. Okay, so fixed time, 5:30 p.m. Conditions. I've got a couple of conditions in here, which is like things that may prevent this from happening or, whatever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the open sensor weather forecasted precipitation. If the precipitation is below 80%, I mean, it's not like guaranteeing that it's going to rain or something, then we'll allow this to go. Or I'm going to put another or in there, or the precipitation kind is not, and that's what this condition is, it's not rain. So if it's any other precipitation, which I'm sure during the winter time, I'm not going to be running this, so I don't have to worry about snow and things like that and sleet and whatever. But as long as it's not rain, then we'll let it run. Okay. So let me come down here to actions, and then we call our script down here. We do a call service, and we call the script that we just wrote, that normal irrigation script. So basically, when 5:30 comes about and it's below 80% and it's not raining, then we're going to call that normal irrigation script, which then goes 20 minutes at a shot all the way through every single one. Whew! So that's basically it. That's how we do it. And then, so far as if you're wanting to make a cool irrigation setup, It's as simple as creating yourself some cards. So I created my cards, added my switches in here, all those different switches that were part of the irrigation entity, added those in. And then I went ahead and added the scripts, because you can run the scripts manually. Press run and it fires the script off. So if you want to run it outside of that 5:30 time, you want to run it a different time or something, you can just press run. And then yes, I made one called Kids Sprinkler Play. My children love playing in sprinklers, so I made a script to where all I have to do to turn the backyard sprinklers on so they can play in the sprinklers is you just press run, and it only turns on those, I think it's the last 3 zones is my backyard, something like that, 3 or 4 zones, and it runs them for like 10 minutes at a shot or something like that so they can play in the sprinklers. And then you don't have to walk all the way to the garage and press it up on the controller. You can just pull up on your phone and hit go. So fantastic. And then of course, here's the different precipitations and things like that. So that way you can see that, you can see the weather, just threw some other cards on there just to make it look pretty and make it look cool. So that's basically the irrigation system. So let's run to the garage and we'll take a look at the hardware before I let you guys go. Thank you for staying with me. Okay guys, so here I am out in my garage. I hope that you guys can see this. I really don't have a brighter light to really look in here. So anyway, here is that power supply. Down below is my wiring that comes up. Here's my well wiring, and here is my main sprinkler cable coming up in here. So as you can see, I've got there's the common that comes down through here, and then it jumpers all the way through. That's the white. And then here's each one of my connectors here on my relay terminal block. Then we got our well. Our well is the last one, and that's that little white wire that's right there. Then the other side of my well that's coming up through here is up on the terminal block like I showed you. See? And then there is the Wemos D1. I went ahead and mounted it to like a little perf board, so that way if for some reason it ever dies, I can just unplug it and plug a new Wemos D1 in there. So that's what I did. But that's basically how simple it is, and then put it in one of these nice like hard plastic enclosures that I got from like the hardware store. All right, so that's pretty much all there is to the hardware on this thing. It's actually pretty simple. It's just screwing it all into the bottom of the deal, and that's pretty much it. Bob's your uncle. Okay guys, well I hope you enjoyed that. Sorry the video probably went a little long, but that's okay. I wanted to be very detailed because there's a lot here. Let me know if you want me to create an instructable on this. It might be a little easier to follow if it's in text-based form. So any case, I'm working on this a whole YouTube thing, getting back into the saddle. So hopefully you guys, I'll have a lot of videos coming out for you, and make sure to click that subscribe button, hit the bell, because I want to make sure that you guys don't miss out on any of the videos coming up. So make sure you ring the bell, and then hit the like button. That really helps the algorithm out. And then check down below for all the links, the Amazon links, the code link, all that stuff will be down in the description. All right, guys, I'm done rambling. Take care. I'll see you in the next video.